This is a video about the organizing cycle, which are the four components of organizing that we need to understand to do it well. The first component is building our base, reaching out, educating people in the community in order to engage them in our activities and recruit them to become part of our council. The second component is developing our council, building clear and stable structures and systems that enable people to participate in the work that we're doing. The third component is building our leaders. This is a constant work to develop new leaders while simultaneously deepening the leadership of more veteran members. And then last but not least, there's building our campaigns. This is building intensive, sustained, coordinated, and strategic fights to win change around specific issues. Now, all four of these components are operating simultaneously, and they feed off each other. We're going to go into each of them in a little more depth now. The first component that we'll talk about is building the base. And this is obviously a very important component because we need a lot more people to be involved if we want to bring about the change that we imagine. So this involves things like phone banking, community canvases, other ways of engaging with the public and other MoveOn members to get them involved with our events and our council. Let's hear an example of some of these kinds of actions from a council that I work with in Staten Island, New York.
Hi, I'm Leslie Greenwood. I'm the council coordinator for Staten Island, New York MoveOn.
My name is Nora Sullivan. I'm a core member of the Staten Island MoveOn Council.
My experience with phone banking was very satisfying that we brought some people together and all made calls sitting around a table. And
so there were about 5 of us, and we printed out names from the website and made about 200 phone calls.
One of the things that happened was that 2 people that I called personally said that they would join and did show up to the next function. So it was very exciting to hear that because we call people who have already expressed interest in MoveOn, we know that there's a good chance that they'll have some interest in our phone call. So it's pretty gratifying.
And it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was a great way to connect to people that we hadn't met before. Whether they could come or not, people were really receptive. They were glad that we had called them, glad that we were working on this project. And a lot of people did show up to the meeting who we hadn't met before, so it was a great way to revitalize the base, I think, and get more people engaged and involved.
So that's building the base. It's doing things like phone banking or community canvases where we reach out to people and tell them about what we're doing and invite them to join us and become part of this exciting movement. The next phase that we'll talk about is building councils. Now, obviously, the council is the basic building block of our movement, and we need to grow them so that we have teams of people working together and a strong core group that works well with each other and is always learning how to do things better. Let's go back to Leslie Greenwood, the council coordinator for Staten Island, to hear about how she has built up her council recently.
A couple of months ago, the Staten Island Council was fairly sleepy, and then we started getting involved in some of these more recent activities and rallies and community forums, and slowly we got people through phone recruitment and contact within the meetings and personal relationships to come. We have more people now, more leadership being taken, and it's much better. There's more people to do things with.
So that's the component of building your council, a key part of the organizing cycle. You need to create a sense of community and a good communication within the council, and it needs to be a team effort, not just a solo one. Part of what's important in building that team effort is delegating and bringing in new leaders, and that's the component we'll shift to next. Because we need to keep growing, we need to be developing new people who can take on leadership so that we can expand our network, expand our power, and expand the movement. We need to be increasing our own skill as well as helping other people increase their skill. Recently, Leslie from Staten Island asked Nora to take on an important leadership role. Let's hear how that went.
One of the people who came to one of the meetings was very active and interested, and I spoke to her.
Leslie Greenwood, who's our Staten Island MoveOn Council Coordinator, contacted me and told me that there was a MoveOn event coming up to go to our local representative's office, Michael McMahon, and to ask him to support some legislation putting more regulation on BP and holding them fully accountable for the costs of the oil spill.
I spoke to her and found out that she was quite interested, and I asked her to take a leadership role in organizing a rally.
I was really excited about it, and she said, well, do you want to take the lead on this? Do you want to organize this rally? And I said, yeah, all right, I could do that.
I offered to be available, and we did it. We worked together, and it was great.
It was a little bit nerve-wracking, but Leslie was extremely supportive. Whatever questions I had, I would just give her a call. She was very accessible. And even if I didn't have questions, I just wanted to let her know what I was doing and feel kind of supported. I could call her and feel really that she was there for me and that she was going to help me make this thing work.
So that's the important component of the organizing process of building leadership. And it's important for us to each be developing our own leadership skills, but also to be identifying and helping to nurture the leadership skill in other folks in our council. Building campaigns is the fourth component of the organizing process, and it involves having strategic actions that move us closer towards our goal. All of the other components feed into this one. We need to turn out lots of people, we need to have a good organized council, we need leaders to pave the way, and all of it comes together in a well-orchestrated campaign. I'll give you an example of a campaign success from when I was a volunteer with Move On. So one of the first campaigns that I worked on with Move On was around clean energy. And one of our first targets was our senator here in New York, Kirsten Gillibrand. She was a relatively new senator. We weren't really sure what she was going to do. But we organized a bunch of events. We collected all these letters from small business leaders talking about how important clean energy was to them. We did a bunch of different rallies outside her door. And there came a moment when the Clean Air Act was under threat by another senator. And we asked her to take the lead in fighting off this threat, and we were really excited that she did, that she stepped up, and we think it was because we had done this groundwork of developing this relationship with her that she responded so quickly and took the lead on that issue. So that was really exciting. Having a winning campaign is all about coming up with a strategy and then tactics that move you closer towards your goal. And ultimately, it builds on all the other components of the organizing process. To review, the organizing cycle is made up of 4 different components, all of which work together to create good organizing technique. The first component we talked about today is building the base, and that involves recruiting new people to be involved in our actions and in our council through community canvases and through phone banking. Building up the council is the second component, and it involves creating teams within the council, structures of communication, a sense of community, and different roles for members to play so that we can keep learning and keep growing as a group. The third component is developing leaders, developing leadership skill in our existing leaders and coming up with new leaders within the group and within each of the teams to lead the council. And that leads to the fourth component, which is building winning campaigns. We need strategies and tactics that will allow us to accomplish the change around specific issues that we're fighting for. That concludes our explanation of the organizing cycle. Thanks for being with us. If you have any questions or comments, you can email them to training@moveon.org. Thanks very much.